Do you know how long it's been since I've started with a little bit of a joke? It's been forever. It's been forever. So I want to share with you a story, and it's many of you have maybe heard this, but maybe not quite in this way, but it's God having a conversation with St. Francis. And God says to Frank, as God likes to call St. Francis, he says, Frank, you know all about gardens and nature. What in the world is going on down there on that planet? What happened to the dandelions, the violets, the milkweeds, and stuff I started eons ago? I had a perfect no-maintenance garden plan. Those plants grow in any type of soil. They withstand drought, multiply with abandon. The nectar from the long-lasting blossoms, oh my goodness, they attract the butterflies and the bees and the flocks of songbirds. I expected to see a vast garden of colors by now. But all I see are these green rectangles. St. Francis says, well, it's the tribes that settled here, Lord, the suburbanites. He said they started calling your flowers weeds, and they went to great lengths to kill them and replace them with grass. God says, grass? But that's so boring. It's not colorful. It doesn't attract butterflies, birds, bees, etc., etc. Oh, St. Francis says apparently so, but they go to great pains to grow it and keep it green. They begin each spring by fertilizing grass and poisoning any of the other crops in the lawn. God says the spring rains and the warm weather probably makes that grass grow easily, right? So that must make those suburbanites happy. As soon as the grass grows a little, they cut it. Sometimes twice a week. They cut it. Well, then do they bale it and sell it like hay? No, not exactly. They rake it up and put it in bags. They bag it. Why? Is it a cash crop? Do they sell it? No. Sir, they do the opposite. They pay to have it hauled away. What? Now let me get this straight. They fertilize the grass so it'll grow. And when it does grow, they cut it. And then they pay to throw it away. Yes, sir? These suburbanites must be relieved. Excuse me. They must be relieved in the summer when we cut back on the rain and I turn up the heat. They surely slows the growth and it saves them a lot of work, right? God, you're not going to believe this. But when the grass stops growing, they actually drag out their hoses, pay more money for water to continue to make it grow, and to pay to get rid of it. What nonsense! At least they kept some of the trees, right? Well, and that was a sheer stroke of genius. If I do say so myself, the trees grow leaves in the spring, provide beauty and shade. In the summer, in the autumn, they fall to the ground and they form a natural blanket and keep moisture and soil in, and etc., etc. And then St. Francis says, God, you better sit down. These suburbanites have drawn a new circle. As soon as the leaves fall, they rake them into great piles, and then they pay to have them hauled away. What do they do to protect the shrub and the tree roots in the winter to keep the soil moist? Oh, after throwing the leaves away, they go out and buy this thing called mulch. Then they haul it away and spread it around in some of the places where the leaves used to be. And what do they do with this mulch? How do they get it? Oh, they cut down trees and grind them up, and they make mulch out of it. Are you starting to get the picture of how crazy us human beings are when you think about it? God says enough. Enough, enough. I don't want to hear any more about these suburbanites. So he turns to St. Catherine, and he says, St. Catherine, you're in charge of the arts. What movie do you have scheduled for tonight? St. Catherine says, Dumb and Dumber. It's a story about, God says, never mind. I just heard the whole story from St. Francis. Don't bother with the movie. Oh, boy. Long story to make a point of how we separate ourselves from the gifts that are naturally here for us. You know, there is a song by Karen Drucker, written by Karen Drucker and Michael Gott, and Karen Drucker's recording is most popular. But it goes along with the meditation that I started with here today. Because the title of this is We Need Each Other today. We need each other. I want you to just listen to the words to this beautiful song. We are all angels who only have one wing. We are all angels searching for each other. All angels who cannot reach the sky because we need each other to fly. Then she goes on, do you know that there are angels in our midst? Can you hear them? Can you feel them? They're all around you every day. Do you see them or do you look the other way? It's that man that I forgot to kiss as I hurried out the door, or the stranger that said hello that I ignored. They are angels. We are angels. We need each other to fly. You know, just a second here. I want to get my papers together here that got jostled around. In Colossians, out of the Bible, it's 3:13-14. It says, character of a new man or woman, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, and above all things, put on love, which binds us all together in perfect unity. In Romans 12, it says, community is life-giving, and that's because we're better together than we are alone. We're better together than we are alone. Do we believe that? Of course we believe that. Are we behaving like we believe that? I'm not so sure. In what seems to be moving towards a divided nation, do we really believe we need each other, or do we just need the people that agree with us? There's a story about a farmer. Actually, a visiting pastor went to a farmer's breakfast meeting out in rural Indiana. And this group had asked the old farmer, decked out in his bib overalls, to say grace that morning before breakfast. So his prayer starts like this: God, I hate buttermilk. The visiting pastor opened one eye and glanced at the farmer like, what the world? The farmer loudly proclaimed, God, I hate lard. Now the pastor was growing concerned. Without missing a beat, the farmer continued. And he said, and God, you know, I don't much care for raw white flour either. The pastor once again opened an eye to glance around the room, and he saw that he wasn't the only one feeling uncomfortable. Then the farmer added, but God, when you mix all those things that I hate together and you bake them, oh, I do love those warm biscuits. So Lord, when things come up that I don't like, when life gets hard and I don't understand what you're saying to me, help me to just relax. Help me to just relax and wait until you're done mixing. It'll probably be even better than those biscuits. Amen. In that prayer is great wisdom. Stay strong during this time, because all this mixing up could be making something wonderful. You know, many of you, I think, still have the sticker on your car when we passed it out, oh my goodness, years ago. Something wonderful is about to happen. Something wonderful is about to happen. You know, we need each other, right? We have got, I can't even begin to tell you. We're getting a really nice breeze here, but I don't want to lose the papers here. Oh, just a second. Here at Garden Park, I have witnessed how we need each other during this pandemic time. I have witnessed a lot of our older congregation who, in the beginning, in March, had no clue. Number one, I'm not even sure, some of them didn't even have a computer. Number two, if they had a computer, they really didn't know how to operate it other than to check their emails, if they knew that. Oh, then we added in Facebook Live way to connection. Facebook? What's that? Or, I don't like Facebook. I don't know how to do Facebook. I'm just giving you these two examples of how we need each other. These people were not able to stay connected with their spiritual group, their community here at Garden Park. And what I witnessed was congregants almost adopting these people so that they could help and teach them how to get into this media that we're into now in a way to stay connected. And so I have watched our chaplains move into staying connected with our congregation. Within, I don't know if you realize this, but within, I'm going to say less than 2 weeks, we had the board here, your board of directors, and our chaplains gathering a list of over 150 names. They adopted names, and hopefully most of you, if we've got your correct phone numbers, have been in touch. Someone has called you from this church to touch base. If you're on this stream right now or out here in drive-in or lawn chair, if you did not get a phone call in these last 3.5, 4 months, I want you to call the church, because that means we don't have your correct information. It's not that you got skipped over intentionally, but I'm just telling you, community is so important, and we're realizing that more and more because we have lost so much of our community. You know, I started right before the pandemic in February. I had started the Y, right, and water aerobics. I was forming another new community. In case most of you know me, oh yeah, I was doing aerobics, but I was going all over saying, hi, what's your name, right? Doing my aerobics, but I was really becoming a social group for me. And then bam, the Y shut down. So there went that group. Think about in your own life, how many things have changed for you where you had a social group, where you had a community going? You know, Shar, I think she's out there, Shar Carroll, has kept connection with the LGBT group so that they could stay connected. I'm telling you, we normally have hosted AA here on Wednesday nights. It's a very large group. They've not been able to come into this building since March. Do you know how AA is staying connected? They're doing all Zoom. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it, and they're keeping together as a group. They're staying connected. Why? Because sobriety needs each other. We need each other. We need a support system. You know, it reminds me of the story of the geese. And most of you know the story of the geese and the way they fly. It says when they fly, when you see geese flying in a V formation, you might want to consider what science has discovered as to why they fly that way. As each bird flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the bird immediately following. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds at least 71% greater flying range than if each bird flew by itself. People who share a common direction, keep up the speed, keep uplifting each other. It's such an analogy for us. The geese are teaching us, human beings, how to really go through life and not have to work so hard. What messages do we give when we honk from behind? I love it. And this last analogy I want to give you is really important. When a goose gets sick or wounded, and it needs to fall from it's been hit by a gunshot, or it falls out of formation because it's sick, 2 other geese fall with it. And they stay with it until either that goose makes its transition or it gets strong enough, and then all 3 of them fly to find either a new flock or to find their former flock. Are you hearing this? Do you get this for yourself, for your family, for your work, your work comrades, for your neighbors, for our whole entire planet? If we have the sense of a goose, we'll stand by each other like that. There's another song that I found, and it's a little bit more modern version, and it says that I think I caught a glimpse of a life without friends, bitter, empty, hollow, dark, and lonely. We were never meant to hurt each other so that we can't trust again and take a chance on keep growing. We need each other. So what's the fighting for? What's the fighting for? On Wednesday, I did a Facebook Live, Chatty Cathy and Kathy's Corner, for some of you that heard it. And I was questioning, why are people so angry? Why are people so angry? And I'm going to probably close with this thought, because I checked the news just over the last 2 days, and I saw where a father and an 11-year-old daughter were killed over a fight with their next door neighbor about a dog that had bit the wife of the neighbor who inflicted the death on the father and the daughter. There was another story I read. There's multiple ones, aren't there? If you go and you look at your world news, you're going to see people killing each other over what? Over what? People have got to get it together and move to love. People do not do that to one another if they have a healed mind. There is something deep within inside that individual that inflicts that kind of harm. There is something deep inside that person that is unhealed. And how can I change that? I can't change them, but I can live by my example. And I can reach out to my neighbors with a smile, with compassion, with do you need, I'm going to the store, do you need something? Just connection, a human connection. I had a neighbor who came over. I've known her since she was probably 11 years old, so she is probably now 19. She just had a baby, and she's not living with her grandma anymore. She's living on her own, but she was outside yesterday. And she has a pit bull, and it's off leash. And she's trying to catch it, and the dog is coming towards us. Christy and the kids were at my house at that time. And, not Christy, Mike was at my son-in-law. And the kids, he ushered the kids close to the car because you just don't know. And anyway, the part of this story is that I want to tell you is that she has no mask on, and she's coming at me because her last memory of me is she's a great hugger, right? And I'm like, no, we got to keep our social distance. We got to keep our social distance. And I saw her face get so sad because she thought she was going to get Kathy's hug. And this is where we are right now, aren't we? This is where we are. So it's up to us, number one, to speak our truth and stay. Honor what's yours to honor, right? And to give her love. So I just went like this next to her, And then she just wanted to talk. She just wanted to talk. This is how, before, this would have been Kathy. Oh, okay, I gotta go. It's really good to see you. Because I always had this agenda, right? How many of you are starting to change just a little bit and taking a little more time with people? Are you noticing it? Yeah. Tom's shaking his head big time over there. So this is how we make a change. So I'm going to go back to that verse. We are all angels who only have one wing. We are all angels searching for each other. All angels who cannot reach the sky because we need each other to fly. We need each other to fly. Don't forget that this week, because I want to see us all soaring. As I always end every Sunday service with namaste. Namaste means the Christ presence in me. As I'm looking at our lawn chair group out there, the Christ presence in me, to the Facebook Live and YouTube Live, sees and honors the Christ presence in each and every one of you. Namaste.